This is going to be a video where I'm going to talk a little bit about some current events and news, and then I'm going to do a video where I go through all of Q's most recent posts for the last 3 days. This is my third QAnon broadcast. They have become so popular, people like them so much, I decided on, and I've had this dream, and I should tell some of you this. I was very skeptical about Q for a long time. I wasn't really sure Q was legit. And then I had this dream where I met Q. Oh, Brendan just went live. Awesome. So I met Q in this dream. And Q was asking me a bunch of questions. And then at the end of the dream, Q asked me this question. You do understand that this is primarily about the children, don't you? And when Q did that, I was like, oh gosh, this is a lot about the children, child trafficking, that sort of thing. So after having that dream where God showed me that this Q thing is legit, I decided to stick with it. And I've been researching Q and I've been trying to understand. And look, Q's posts are a lot less cryptic than they used to be. It's easier to understand Q now than it was 2 months ago. So I'm not the smartest person in the world. So that's why I like following Q now, because I mean, Q, we don't know who Q is, and that's not the point. Is it one person? Is it 4 people? It's not the point. If Q wanted us to know who they were, they wouldn't be on 4chan. They wouldn't be anonymous. Q wants to remain anonymous, and it's really not the point to find out who Q is. The point is to take the information Q gives us, use it to confirm the news that we're seeing, and that's what I do. I take the Q posts, I look at them, they help confirm what I'm seeing in the news, what we're finding as we research. That is the value of Q to me. I don't care who Q is, it doesn't matter. Q helps, for me, helps confirm things. So we're in the government shutdown. Welcome to the shutdown. I don't have a lot of opinions and views on government shutdowns. I'm old enough that I've been through a lot of them. And I'm not concerned about the government shutdown. I think we need to pray for people who are in the military, pray for people who will be affected by the shutdown, people who are going to lose money, and it's a temporary thing. We need to pray for those people. I am not too stressed out or freaked out about the government shutdown. I've been through it before. I will say this, and I'm just going to share this with you real quick. Chad Pergram is a guy I follow on Twitter. He's a reporter who follows Capitol Hill. He's on the Capitol Hill all the time, reporting news from the Hill. And he said this. This is his opinion, and he's been following government and this stuff for a long time. He says either they get a deal tomorrow night or very early on Monday morning to reopen the government, or the government is likely to remain shuttered for a long time. And I think that's probably true. Government shutdowns tend to be either really short for a day or two, or they tend to be fairly long. It depends on the strategy behind the people that are causing the shutdown. Sometimes a shutdown only lasts a day or two. Sometimes it'll last weeks. We're going to find out by Monday afternoon, probably, if Chuck Schumer is planning on keeping the government shut down for weeks. We'll know by Monday afternoon. We'll either have a deal by Monday afternoon, or this is going to be a long shutdown. So, I don't know. That's the best information I can give you on the shutdown. Release the memo has been the biggest hashtag on Twitter now for the last 3 days. And the QAnon posts that I'm going to share with you talk quite a bit about the memo. So if you're interested in that, you'll be getting some information on that. I think I'm going to go to the video. I pre-recorded this, and this is my latest QAnon post. So let me get this going here. Hi there, friends. This is Praying Medic, and I am back with another post from QAnon. I did this thread on Twitter, as I did with the last one. This is going to cover posts on 8chan, The Great Awakening, from Thursday and Friday, January 18th and 19th. And here is a link to the 8chan if you need it. And I will also post a link to this in the YouTube video. So Q begins with this post here. So Q asks a question: are you following the news today? What a big news day. These people are really stupid. This will be the end of the D-Democrat Party. This will be the path forward with public outrage to jail many so-called untouchables. You, the people, have the power. Down she goes, Q. So the big news on Thursday had to do with the disclosure of the 4-page memo that was written, I'm guessing, by Devin Nunes with the House Intelligence Committee. It is definitely coming out of the House Intel Committee. We don't know exactly how that memo was written, but Nunes is the one who's been investigating the weaponization of the NSA intelligence by members of the FBI and DOJ, and we believe that this memo outlines his findings. So that is the big news. On Twitter on Friday, released the memo hashtag, trended for 24 hours. It was a top trending hashtag. It got shadow banned. Users were suspended for using it. It was an all-out battle on Twitter the last 48 hours, and that hashtag is still going around today. So there is a big fight on social media to get this information released. And this is a little bit more about that particular memo. This is a quote from Mark Meadows, who saw the memo. It's troubling, it's shocking. Mark Meadows said, "Part of me wishes I didn't read it. I don't want to believe those kinds of things are happening in this country that I love so much." A lot of representatives now have gone and seen this memo in the SCIF, and they are all, well, most of the Republicans have been shocked and dismayed by what they've seen. They are demanding that this memo be declassified and made public. There has been a push forward now. I just saw this on Twitter that they're going to start the process in the House Intelligence Committee of declassifying and making the memo public. That will involve the House Intel Committee has to vote to make it public and declassify it. It then has to go to the White House. The president has to look at it. I would imagine the Office of Legal Affairs has to look at it. The National Security Council will want to look at it. They need to make sure that there are no people or issues in that memo that can't be declassified. So it'll take a little while at the White House for them to look over the memo, make sure there's nothing in there that can't be declassified. Then it'll go back to the House, and Paul Ryan will have to approve it to be declassified and then made public. So it is going to take several weeks. So people just need to be patient. They're working on getting that memo made public. Now, Q suggests that the information in that memo is literally going to destroy the Democrat Party and take down a lot of people who were perceived to be untouchable. Q suggests that we have the power. How do we have the power? Well, that was the public outcry from people on Twitter and even representatives. A lot of representatives joined the Release the Memo hashtag. I was surprised to see how many people were supporting this public call to have this memo released. This next post is a little bit longer. What 19 people are currently meeting in a safe room that is heavily guarded. Why did everyone leave their phones and all other electronic devices in room 239? Why does it take the information going public before justice is served? Why is the D party making every effort to block the release of the FISA classified info? Why did Rod Rosenstein plead to Ryan moments ago to prevent the release of this information? Where is AS? 8 fired, X jailed, possible suicides, plus TikTok Q. So let's go through this one part at a time. I suspect the answer to this first question was given to us by Byron York the morning after this was posted by Q. York has been told 115 members of the House have read the Intel Committee memo. When you go into a SCIF to read classified information, all electronic devices are left outside so that you can't take photographs. So I believe that is the answer to the first part of the question. Why does it take information going public before justice can be served? Well, that is because a lot of the people who are going to be implicated in this scandal are heroes to many Americans. And you can't just destroy someone's hero unless you first explain to them and show them the evidence of the evil that they've committed. Otherwise, you're going to have civil war. That's why this is being put out as a public awareness campaign, essentially. We need to make people aware of what has been going on. People have been asleep and they've been fooled for many years, and they need to wake up. Okay, next part of the post. Why are Dems making every effort to block the release of the classified FISA info? All the Republicans on the House Intel Committee voted in favor of releasing the memo to Congress. All of the Dems voted against it. Now, this was a vote to allow other members of Congress to read the memo. All the Dems voted no, all the Republicans voted yes. That strongly suggests that this memo is going to be very damaging for Democrats, and that's probably why they all voted against it. Why did Rod Rosenstein plead with Paul Ryan not to release the memo? I have not yet figured this out perfectly. One possibility could be that there is information in this memo that is going to further incriminate and tarnish the credibility of people in the FBI and DOJ who are on Mueller's investigative team. I strongly suspect that. The information we've received from Lisa Page and Strzok and other people on Mueller's team has been very damaging. And I'm guessing that this memo has more damaging information on people inside Mueller's team. Rosenstein is in charge of Mueller's team, essentially, and that may be a very difficult thing for Rosenstein. If the memo is released and it blows apart Mueller's team, that creates a problem for Rosenstein because he's supposed to be in charge of this. But there's another possibility, and that is that Rosenstein himself is somehow implicated by the information in that memo. We don't know yet. Some people believe Rosenstein is a good guy, that he is on the side of Trump and Sessions. Other people think he is implicated. He has certainly got some dirt on his hands with respect to Uranium-1. We don't know a whole lot about his history. I guess we're going to have to wait and see what happens to Rod. But Q is definitely suggesting that Rod has some problems coming up. Where is Adam Schiff? Well, that is a good question. Actually, as I'm recording this, we are in a government shutdown that began about 24 hours ago. Right now, they're still on the floor of the Senate debating and discussing what they're going to do. Q has suggested 8 have or will be fired, a number jailed, and some may choose to end it rather than face the music that is coming their way. The next part of the post is right at the bottom, ++ /+ TikTok. From previous posts by Q, we know ++ is a reference to the Rothschilds. Plus is a reference to George Soros. TikTok, time is running out. Background information, 3 + signs refers to the House of Saud. Most of that has been dealt with already in previous Q posts. And all this is saying is that Rothschilds and Soros, they are running out of time. Next post. This is somewhat self-explanatory. Fight, fight, fight. Demand public disclosure. Be loud. Be heard. This is just the beginning. 2018 will be glorious. Q. So we need to be involved, engaged. We need to fight. We cannot expect other people to do this. We all need to be involved in the discussion and pushing this forward. Next post. The Great Awakening. Q. Next post. The next 7 posts are photographs, and I'm going to show them all and discuss them a little bit. First, we have this photograph, and here is a little bit more information on it. Who are these people? George Soros. We've got David Rockefeller, Bill Gates Sr., Ted Turner, the widow of Walter Annenberg, and Brooke Astor. These people were key financiers of the liberal CIA network. All right, next post. And the point with all of these pictures of these people is that we're getting into who has financed this globalist agenda that has put the people in power who are abusing and corrupting our government. Next photo. This is the Pope. And the backstory on that is this was taken from an article, World Jewish Congress, Attacks on Jews are Anti-Semitism. This article is right here, just posting it here for background information. It's just a discussion about a talk that the Pope gave about anti-Semitism. Next photo, George Soros and Jacob Rothschild. And notice on the left is someone's ear. Whose ear? That would be Barack Obama. Photoshopped picture, but Q is making a connection. Obama and his administration were funded by the Rothschilds and George Soros. You don't have to go a whole lot more into it than that, I don't think. Although you can if you want to. Next photo. Pope is shown kissing the hand of a Holocaust survivor. That photo is from this article on Euronews.com. It's pretty straightforward. He visited Holocaust survivors. You can do your own digging and research on that if you like. Next photo. This is President Obama. This particular photo was taken from this article. And here is a link to that article. This was in New York News and Politics. Money chooses sides. This was about a fundraising event that Barack Obama attended. And I'm going to read just a little bit of this to you. The conference room belonged to George Soros, the billionaire. At the right, you can see Soros right here. After talking to Soros for about an hour about his prospective bid for the White House, Obama walked down the hall and found assembled a dozen of the city's heaviest hitting Democrat fundraisers. The names are here. A lot of power brokers, bankers, investment people who fund Democrats. And Obama would make a bid to get their money to support his campaign. All right, moving along. The next image is an old photo from an article that describes the earliest roots of communism. Here is the picture. It was taken from this article on a website called Useful Stooges. Anna Louise Strong, cheerleader for Mao. The article is about Louise Strong, who spent a lot of time in the Soviet Union, studied communism, and then went to China and talked to Mao about communism. She was an early communism propagandist. All right, moving along. Next picture. Next picture posted by Q is a picture of John McCain, the man whose name we don't say, and George Soros. This picture is from this article on The Blaze, What do you suppose John McCain and George Soros talked about at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland? This was article was from 3 years ago. The Davos Forum is a big shindig for billionaire financiers and politicians. They get together, eat, drink, and talk about essentially globalism. They provide the money, they provide the political favor for the things that need to be done. And what is humorous about, I find, about Q posting about the Davos Forum is that next week, Rex Tillerson and President Trump are going to be visiting the Davos Forum. They've already got it on their schedule. Theresa May is going to be there. And I'm going to move to the next slide here. How are the globalist elites going to act when some of their dearest friends don't show up? And when a couple of anti-globalist people like Trump and Tillerson crash the party? I think it's going to be quite amusing to see what's going on there. There is also something I'd like to straighten out here, and that is the Jewish reference to the Holocaust and the Jews. There's an angle here that it's easy to miss, so I'm going to explain that. The globalist agenda, as I understand it, is to achieve world domination through the elimination of sovereign nation states. Globalists want a borderless global community. Theory is that without national borders and without nationalistic pride, there won't be any wars. The long-term goal is to end all war, which is a noble goal. That's done in the short term by inciting wars that gradually undermine nationalism and erase international borders. The end game is to create a global community with a single centralized government, which, strangely enough, is supposed to be overseen by Jews, not religious Jews, but Hebrews. And that is kind of the angle that I think a lot of this is working toward. I have not done all that much research on that, but that is my understanding of the globalist agenda, the big picture scheme. And the wars that we see being supported by the CIA and backed by the globalists is really in Kosovo, in Syria, in Yemen, is an attempt to eradicate international borders and create one big global community. That's their end game. They want to accomplish that in a certain time frame. The next post by Q asks about Rod Rosenstein. Senate count for RR, Senate vote count for Sessions, reconcile. Why was RR chosen to be Assistant Attorney General? Why did Rod Rosenstein draft a letter supporting Comey termination? Why did he use the full weight of his office to attempt to block the release of docs to Congress today? Confused? News unlocks past. These cannot survive. The beginning of the end. Debbie Wasserman Schultz failed to flee. Q. So let me unpack this for you. By the way, Rod Rosenstein was confirmed by a vote of 94-6. Sessions was confirmed by a vote of 52-47 and 1 abstaining. Rosenstein was a shoo-in as Deputy Assistant Attorney General. Sessions was a squeaker. All right. I suspect that the swamp perceived Jeff Sessions to be a formidable enemy if he was going to get into the office of Attorney General. I think a lot of people in the deep state probably saw trouble coming if Sessions got confirmed. That's why a lot of people opposed him. I think they perceived Rosenstein as friendly, which is why he got an almost unanimous approval. So Q asked the question, why did Rod write the letter that terminated Comey? Well, I think the answer is because the swamp would never have accepted it if it came from Sessions. I think what Q is suggesting here is, why did Trump and Sessions pick someone like Rosenstein to be the Assistant Attorney General? Did they know they were going to have to fire Comey? And if Sessions was the one to write the letter, how would it be perceived by the swamp and the deep state? They would never accept it. I think Q is suggesting that they picked Rosenstein because he was perceived as someone who was friendly to them and they didn't know ahead of time he was going to be the one to write the letter that recommended Comey's termination. And how could they argue if it came from Rod Rosenstein? Because he's one of their friends. They tried to make the case that Trump actually put Rod Rosenstein up to writing that letter. They tried to blame everything on Trump, but it was Rod who actually wrote the letter recommending he be fired. The appointment of Rosenstein was strategic. He oversaw Mueller's investigation, still is. He was trusted. And the interesting thing is, during the Mueller investigation, the key people on Mueller's team, Strzok, Page, also FBI legal counsel James Baker, Andy McCabe, have had bombs dropped on them all along the way. The intelligence community that is friendly to Trump has been dropping their text messages, their pages, leaking information or making information declassified, I should say, and giving it to Congress. See, Trump's intelligence community has the ability to declassify information and give it to Congress. Unlike the leakers in the deep state who are opposing Trump, who have to leak things illegally, Trump's people can do it legally. And they've been doing that to expose the corruption of all these people. Rosenstein has to sit by and watch it all happen. Why did Rod use the weight of his office to try to block the release of the memo yesterday? My guess is that Rosenstein may be compromised. We know that he's got some dirt on his hands from Uranium One. And covering for those people who are about to be exposed. He's in a difficult spot. Trump and Sessions have the upper hand, but Rosenstein is under pressure to try to obstruct them. So it's going to be very interesting to see how everything plays out with Mr. Rosenstein. Confused? Yeah, well, just a little bit. News unlocks past. Dems cannot survive. Beginning of the end. Debbie Wasserman Schultz tried to, but failed to flee. All right. Next post. The storm is coming. Certainly looks that way to me. Q asks, in the next post, Q asks some questions. I'm just going to read this. The tell. How can we listen in, track, and monitor American citizens, the bad actors, not normal people? We hear you. We see you. What must we legally demonstrate in order to gain such warrants? FISA? Do we trust the FISA judges? Military intel? State secrets? Why is this relevant? Who can we trust? Expand your thinking. So this is a question about how are they getting their information on the bad people, the bad actors in the deep state? All right. And Q has posted this about the Rothschilds, about George Soros, about people in the deep state. We hear you, we see you, we know what you're doing, we're monitoring all of your activity. All right. So there's a question. How do they do it? You need probable cause of a crime to get a warrant to do surveillance on American citizens. Do they trust the FISA judges? Maybe, maybe not. Is there another way to do it? What if you use military intel? It doesn't use, see, the civilian world, you'd have to use courts, but in the military, you could access the information through different protocols. Are they using the military intelligence apparatus to spy on these people? Well, that's certainly a possibility. Who can we trust? Q has said in the past they trust their generals more than anyone else. So I strongly suspect it's military intelligence that all this information is coming through. All right. Next post. For those of you who missed it, there was a news report on Thursday about a CNBC news crew that was arrested for trying to bring a bomb through the airport in Newark. And yeah, they were arrested. This is the post. And CNBC bomb airport. News credentials failed at security checkpoint. False flag attempt. ISIS on life support. Clowns failed. Q. All right. So what Q is suggesting is that this CNBC news crew was a cover story. These were actually CIA agents who are attempting to set up a false flag, and they got caught because their credentials failed at the security checkpoint. ISIS on life support. ISIS and MS-13 and other members usually often do these false flags. They are on life support. They're tapped out, so the CIA had to do it themselves. That is how I am interpreting this post. All right, next post. This is about the President's State of the Union address, which is coming up on January 30th. Timing is everything. State of the Union. Q. I think this is a warning that something is going to be timed to coincide with the State of the Union. Maybe some people taken down, some arrests, I don't know, but there is a key timing issue that we need to look at coming up in 10 days and see how that works out. All right, this next post is rather long. Q is going into emails, private emails. And let me click on this so you can see the entire thing. Okay, Hussein, cabinet, and staff. Who used private email addresses? What was the purpose? Here's a list of initials. Did Hussein use a private email address? At what? Who just resigned from Goog? Why was ES in NK? Asked the question a second time. What private network did ES set up in NK? Asked it a second time. Who else was in NK during this time? What private email address did Hussein use while in office? Why would chairman of Goog travel to NK? Why would NK allow access to ES? Nothing is ever truly erased or deleted. These people are stupid. D-class POTUS, the shot heard around the world. So let's look into this. First of all, let's look at the names, and I would at this time like to just give you a word of warning. If you approach the QAnon posts as if they are a crossword puzzle, that you're merely supposed to solve the puzzle and come up with the right answers, you are going to miss the point. It's not a crossword puzzle. It's not about getting the right answers. It is looking at the bigger picture and asking yourself, how does all this connect to the news, to the stories that are going on? It's not a crossword puzzle. So, having said that, these are some of the names that I think may have been listed. Loretta Lynch, Hillary, James Comey, Clapper, Schumer, Andrew McCabe, John McCain, the person whose name we don't mention, Rosenstein, Susan Rice, JB. JB could be James Baker. It could also be John Brennan. It could also be Joe Biden. We don't know who JB is. It could be all of them. They probably all had private email addresses. Again, the point isn't, we have to have the right name. That's not the point. The point is these people, staff and admin with Obama, had private emails that were used for state work. This is Obama's email address. It was published by WikiLeaks. And if you're interested, here is a long list of emails. Many of them are at barackobama.com, emails that have been used. So Q's question is, why did these people have private emails? Okay, why? Because if you use a government email address, all of your emails are collected and stored, and they're subject to freedom of information queries. If you're using a private email address on a private server, it is not subject to FOIA. It's not subject to being picked up and stored by the government. So if you want to evade the law, if you want to evade the NSA and evade FOIA, you use private emails. And Hillary has admitted to using private emails for a long time, since she was in the New York Senate, because she doesn't want the system to be able to grab her emails. The official reason for Eric Schmidt traveling to North Korea, ES, going to NK, was to assist with the release of Ken Bay, a Korean American who had been held captive. Here's a link to the article there. It's on The Guardian if you want to check it out. The official story was he was there to help free a captive, but Q suggests that was a cover story because Q asks the question, why was he really there? Okay. Jerome Corsi has said that he was there to set up a secret communication network between North Korea and President Obama that could be hidden even from the NSA. But of course, as we're learning, they see everything, they know everything, and nothing is ever deleted. So even though they may have set up a private network with private email service and private communications between North Korea and the United States, the NSA found out about it. And you have all the information. You can do whatever you want with it. The question is, who went with Eric Schmidt? That was Bill Richardson, former governor of New Mexico. I'm not exactly sure how he's related. Nothing is ever erased or deleted. These people are stupid. Shot, heard around the world. Okay, what does this mean? Well, they have the information that the Obama administration thought was secret, thought they could delete. Shot, heard around the world is a reference to the gunshot that started the Revolutionary War. If Trump declassifies all of this evidence, these people are going down. They're going to go down anyway, even if he doesn't declassify it. But if he declassifies it, it becomes public knowledge. So moving on, Q is suggesting that the memo is only the beginning. We are at war. We are in a second revolution. And this revolution is going to throw off the tyranny that has come from within our own government, the corruption and the weaponization of the intelligence community. This is the next post from Q. MSM is fake news, propaganda, talking points, 4 a.m., private email addresses, paid contractors, Judgment Day, Q. Q is letting the mainstream media know they are on a short clock. Their propaganda is going to be exposed. Talking points come out at 4 a.m. This is when the mainstream media is sent information and they send out their talking points on how to spin the news cycle for the day. They have private email addresses. The intelligence community has them, knows about the paid contractors. It's all coming down on the mainstream media and they're going to be exposed. By the way, on the same day that the CNBC news crew was arrested, the Newsweek office in New York was stormed by 24 NYPD who came in and took pictures of their servers, computer servers. I think that we're going to see more of this in the future, and I think they're looking at these mainstream news outlets to see if they've got classified information that was leaked to them by people in the intelligence community. So it is going to be a couple of bad news cycles probably for the mainstream media coming up. Q has another post, remember this day. And then another post. This is an exhortation to remember why we're here, what we're doing. Why are we here? Why are we providing you breadcrumbs? Think memo. All right? Why is the memo being released? It's so that the public can know what is going on inside the intelligence community, so that we have information that we can share and we can take appropriate steps. They're building the army, not convinced this is spreading. You, the people, have the power. You, the people, just forgot how to play, because a lot of us have been playing for the Cleveland Browns for too long, and we're used to losing, and no one's ever going to go to jail, and no one's ever going to get arrested, and they're going to keep on doing the same things. That's our mindset. Q is telling us we've forgotten how to play. Together you are strong, apart you are weak. They want you divided. They want race wars. They want class wars. They want religious wars, political wars. They want you divided. It's divide and conquer. That is their strategy. That is the mainstream media and why they push these issues so hard. Learn. For God and country, learn. Let me click on this. Stay strong. Stay together. Fight, fight, fight. This is more important than you imagine. Q. All right. This is a post that came out late by Q after he had posted a lot of other information. Counter narrative went out at 4 a.m. to MSM contractors like clockwork, Russian bots. These people are really stupid. Desperation, fear. When does a bird sing? Nobody is safe. No deals. MSM contractors, goodbye. Fight, 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 Q. All right, so I was on Twitter on Friday when anyone who was using the hashtag released the memo was accused of being a Russian bot. The message went out that they were to call us Russian bots. The message went out to the mainstream media that there were Russian bots that were pushing this conspiracy about the memo. That was their counter narrative, and it goes out in the morning at 4 a.m. They're desperate. They're afraid. When does a bird sing? In the morning. So Q is warning them they're not safe and there's not going to be any deals. All right, I'm going to give you the next post. This post came out as the president was meeting with Chuck Schumer in the White House. And let me click on this. So the president met with Chuck Schumer to try to avoid the government shutdown. This was Friday night. Working on solutions for security, integrate military. McConnell was there, Ryan was there, Schumer was there. Trump was optimistic at first, and then that's the top tweet. And the bottom tweet, not looking good for a great military or safety and security. Shutdown is coming. This was after about four and a half hours of negotiations, and Chuck Schumer decided to walk away and vote against continuing to fund the government. Q then posted this message here. CS, Chuck Schumer will live in fear from today forward. Thank you for visiting the White House, Q. So that is the end of this particular QAnon message. I hope you found it helpful. If you liked it, you might consider sharing it with your friends on social media. Thanks for tuning. All right. Yep. So there you go. That is my QAnon update. That I would like to add. Somebody asked in the comments, could the president read the memo during the State of the Union address? Answer is no, he can't. Well, he could, but he shouldn't. You can do anything you want, but it's not always a good idea to do things like that. The memo could be declassified by the president, but there is a protocol to go through. What do you think would happen in the mainstream media and with the Democrats if Trump took that memo and read it during the State of the Union address? Is that something you would want to read in the middle of a State of the Union address? It's a really dumb idea. I think it's illegal.
He's the victim and the prosecutor.
He is both the victim of the memo and he is the chief law enforcement officer of the country. So there is a very careful process he has to go through when this memo is going to be released, and it is going to be released. They are already moving in the direction of doing that. The House Intel Committee, which created the memo, they have to vote. To do this legally, they have to vote to first declassify it, and then they have to vote to make it public. If they do that, it goes to the White House. Trump looks at it. The Office of Legal Counsel looks at it. The National Security Council looks at it. They have to make sure there's nothing in there that can't be declassified. They have to all look at it. And then if they approve declassifying it, see, Trump doesn't decide if it's going to be made public. Trump and the National Security Council decide if it's going to be declassified. They declassify it, it goes back to the House. Paul Ryan then has to decide whether it should be made public. Since it's been declassified, Paul Ryan and the House would decide if they would make it public. That is the legal way to do it. When several of the representatives said they could do this immediately, it needs to be done immediately, they didn't mean that Trump could just take this thing and read it on public TV tomorrow. That's not what they mean by immediately. They say we need to have a vote in the House to declassify it and make it public. That starts the process. So I'm guessing we're probably looking at about 3 weeks if Congress is in session. If Congress is not in session, then we've got a big problem. Because if Congress isn't in session, there's no process moving forward. The House Intel Committee doesn't meet. The House is not going to meet with Speaker Ryan. So after the government shutdown is over, is the government shutdown about not getting that memo declassified? I hadn't even thought of that possibility. There is some strategic stuff going on with the government shutdown. There are some things that the Democrats want, and I don't think DACA is the big issue. If you believe that the Dems are shutting down the government over DACA, I have a bridge here in Arizona I would like to sell you. The Dems don't care about DACA. That's not their issue. They have other reasons why they're shutting down the government. And not getting that memo declassified could be one of them. There's probably other ones. We'll find out. We'll find out what the reasons are.
Bumper said, is this the 10 days?
Is this the 10 days? Boogie Bumper. That is a good question. Somebody asked that. Is this because somebody posted about the 10 days that Q said, and there was another post that said shutdown. I saw that today, that it looked like Q confirmed that the 10 days darkness was about the shutdown.
But that was back in December, right?
That was back in December.
And he went dark for 10 days.
And he did go dark. It's hard to figure out what that 10 days darkness is all about. I don't understand that really well. You know, there's a lot of strategic reasons why this shutdown could be going on. Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, the leaders in the Democrats, they have their reasons, and they're desperate. They may be trying to stall certain things from happening, prevent things from happening that they don't want to happen if the government is actually running. So I don't know.
Okay, so somebody said, what did Q mean by thanks for losing the White House? That's not what he said. Thanks for visiting the White House. That's what he said.
Someone asked why Q said thanks for losing the White House. It's not what Q said. Q said thank you for visiting the White House.
And he was talking about
Chuck Schumer, who had just come through, which to me is very interesting because as Schumer was at the White House, Q was posting those last two posts while Schumer was there. Who is Q? I don't know. I don't care who Q is. Q is helping me understand what's going on in Congress, in the deep state, the intelligence community, and in the news cycles. I am a much better patriot, and I'm a lot smarter person because I've been following Q. So.
Aaron reminded us, future proves past, news unlocks the map. Future
proves past, news unlocks the map. The map, by the way, if you go on CBTS_stream, there's a map there that has all of Q's posts since October. It is really good to get a basic understanding of Q's language, the symbols. That gives you understanding of the map. That way, when Q puts stuff out, you can understand it.
Somebody said, please tell us what the Dems want if it's not about DACA.
What do the Dems want if it's not about DACA? It could be that the Dems want Trump. Look, one of the things the Dems do not want to give Trump is a victory in anything. They don't want Trump to have a victory in anything. And if he goes into it's a black mark for Trump to go into the State of the Union address under a government shutdown. How effective and how much traction in a news cycle can the media get if Trump is doing a State of the Union address under a government shutdown and the media will blame Trump for it, even though it's not his fault? That's one possibility. Another possibility is they don't want Trump to have any victories. Look, here is what it comes down to. Trump has told them over and over again, I want the wall and I want border security. What happens to Dems if they have to agree to let Trump build the wall? It is Armageddon. If the Dems allow Trump to build the wall, how do they go back to their constituents and explain that? They're going to be flipped out. The Dems will have given up everything. More than the Dems getting DACA, what they don't want is they don't want Trump to get the wall.
And they're holding up this memo process.
They're holding up the memo process. There are a lot of strategic things. If you think about what the Dems want, what Trump wants, it's not just an issue of what do they want. It's not giving your enemy what he wants. And Trump wants the wall. And Dems don't want to give him the wall in this election year. So there's a number of reasons why they may want to just prolong the shutdown and let it go through the end of the month, through the State of the Union. And then Trump has to explain to people why there's a government shutdown. And Trump will go on TV and tell everyone, well, you know, good old Chucky over there decided that he didn't want to negotiate, so we have the shutdown. That's the most likely explanation for me. Is there's things that they don't want Trump to have. They're trying to block Trump from having success. That's what I think is going on. Any other questions, baby?
Well, people are always saying, I think Q is more than one person. I don't think it matters.
Doesn't matter who Q is.
We just say he because it's easier than saying they and all.
If I had to guess, who Q was, I would guess Q is someone like General Flynn. I don't think it is General Flynn, but it would be someone very much like General Flynn.
Or 2 or 3 people.
Someone with a military background in intelligence, someone who has that high-level security clearance. That is the type of person I would think Q would probably be. But like I said, I met this Q-like person in the dream, and he looked like Mr. Miyagi. He looked a lot like James, actually, our friend on here. I don't think there's the actual Q, but you never know. Why don't we say his name? Q.
No, they might be talking about McCain.
McCain, right?
Okay.
Right. The phrase "we don't say his name," and then the question "why don't we say his name" is a reference to John McCain. And we believe that is because Q sees McCain as a traitor of the worst kind. And so they don't ever say McCain's name. Q doesn't. He doesn't.
What we think, anyway.
That's our working hypothesis, our theory, if you're interested in that. Is Flynn coming back? Perhaps. Look, when Mueller's investigation gets blown to smithereens by the memo, the memo is going to destroy a lot of people in the DOJ and the FBI, including a lot of people on Mueller's team. If that happens, then Flynn, then the fact that they had it in for Flynn, they had it in for Trump, they planned this investigation before the election, the whole thing was pre-planned. Then you have to ask yourself, so what did Flynn actually cop a plea to? He copped a plea to misleading, corrupt FBI agents. I mean, Flynn is going to walk from this. And will Flynn join Trump? I don't know. Who knows? But this is Mueller's investigation. I am not one who's been screaming and hollering for Mueller's investigation to get shut down. You know, Trump doesn't have anything to hide. Why are people screaming for the Mueller investigation to be shut down? I don't think you need to scream for it. But I think the memo, the information that is going to show how the DOJ and the FBI were weaponized is going to cause the Mueller investigation to be completely discredited. And whether they decide to shut it down, whether Mueller decides to quit, who knows? But it's not going to be good. When they put this, Mueller had better get his act together and get his investigation wrapped up before the memo comes out. Because once the memo comes out, his entire group of people is going to be discredited. His entire investigative group, I think. So it's to Mueller's advantage if he gets this thing wrapped up quickly. 2040 chess, that is correct, Joey. I am glad that we're going to put someone like Kelly Ward in the Senate this year and get rid of someone like Flake, and we need to get rid of Mr. McCain as well. If the memo comes out, McCain will probably have to resign if he's not arrested. and then we get another special election. So Arizona is going to be MAGA by the end of the year, I hope.
Somebody said something about Elon Musk. Why would he betray us?
Yeah, Elon Musk.
He's never been...
There are a lot of references in the Q posts to Elon Musk, and I do not understand exactly what the deal is with Elon Musk. So Elon Musk is the CEO and founder of Tesla and SpaceX. And Elon Musk and Eric Schmidt are pretty tight, which is suspicious because Eric Schmidt is very tight with the Clintons, which makes you wonder, is Elon Musk tight with the Clintons? Is he implicated in funding the Clinton Foundation? Has he made illegal donations to the Clinton Foundation? Has he done any favors? Have they done anything that way? That is the question that I'm kind of wrestling with. A lot of people say Elon Musk is a patriot. Elon Musk is a good guy.
That was Zach that said that, and I don't even...
Yeah, I don't know.
Trust in that.
Q is suggesting that there's some problems with Elon Musk, that he is in some compromised positions. One of the posts was, why did Elon Musk get subsidies, federal subsidies, taxpayer money? Why did that happen? I'm assuming it's because Elon Musk was doing favors for Obama and he was getting paid back in taxpayer subsidies. So again, there's all kinds of theories. I'm not sure what is the story with Elon Musk. I don't know enough about him to make a good decision. He's like Rod Rosenstein. I don't know at this point what to make of Rod Rosenstein. There's like 3 people in this that I don't really know what's going to happen. Mueller, Rosenstein, and Elon Musk are the 3 people. I don't really know what to make of them.
Here, though,
what's the point?
Obama shut NASA down basically
and gave all the business to SpaceX. That's true.
So that's the favor.
that is another favor. So Obama basically takes away the work of NASA and privatizes space exploration, gives the business to Elon Musk. Elon Musk gets taxpayer subsidies for the solar cars, the solar city. He gets government contracts to do space exploration. That's the question. Was Musk doing some dealings with the Obama administration, pay for play stuff? I don't know. Q is suggesting that there's some issues with Elon Musk that he is going to have to answer for.
And that people should look into it.
And that people should investigate it and look into it. Good point. Thank you. And tunneling. Yes, there is the tunneling. And there's a lot of other things that Musk is involved in that we don't even know about. There's a lot of secret stuff going on that Elon Musk and his tech people are working on, probably for the CIA and the deep state.
And Google and Amazon are they're involved with our CIA too.
Yes. Yes. Yep. True. Give my wife a mic. I know, I should get her over here and have her in front of the camera. Tell me about it.
I'm just coaching.
She's coaching. She's right over there. Hang on. Should I put the camera on you for a minute?
And people keep reminding us Musk sold technology to enemies.
All right. You saw my wife. Now stop complaining. Yeah. Do we know? We don't know a whole lot about Elon Musk. We know a little bit about what he does. We don't know a whole lot about, how deep he is in there. Has he flipped? Is he working with Trump? That's what we don't know. Has Trump recruited Elon Musk to come clean and do the right things? I don't know. I don't have that information, but Q is having us look into Eric Schmidt. Google, why did Eric Schmidt step down the day that the executive order came out freezing the assets of people involved in human trafficking and corruption? Was it a coincidence? Maybe. Who knows? Let's see. What's up with Antarctica? I don't know. There's all this crazy stuff with Antarctica and the island, the mountains down there. Do you remember the name of the mountain range? Rothschild Island, I do not know what is going on with that stuff. Haven't had time to research it.
Musk got a contract in South Australia.
Musk got a contract in South Australia, Boogie Bumper says.
Recently.
That is interesting. Is it digging, tunneling, and mining? Because I know Australia is really big on mining. I know Western Australia, anyway, is big on mining. I wonder if that's what it's about. Desco Mountains, thank you. Yeah, it's the Desco Mountains where Brendan Dilley, our guy who's running for Congress in Arizona 8th District, by the way, if you live in Arizona 8th District, be sure to catch Brendan Dilley's scopes and support the guy. Yeah, so Brendan has been getting a lot of information that lines up very well with Q's information. And Brendan doesn't really follow Q. Brendan doesn't know a whole lot about Q. But a lot of his information he's getting from someone in the intelligence community lines up with the stuff that Q is saying. And Brendan doesn't follow Q. To me, that is a helpful, that's 2 points of data, 2 data streams that are lining up. That gives me more confidence that what Q is saying is legit.
Oh, somebody said Desco Mountains, yeah.
Desco Mountains, yeah. All right, see if there's any more questions in here. Has Q posted about Desco Mountains? I do not believe so. Yes, let's see. Yeah, there was that big shipment of gold that got stolen, but from Brinks, $11 million worth a couple weeks ago. That supposedly was headed for the Desco Mountains. What about weird meteors? I don't chase weird meteors. I don't look into chemtrails. I don't look into... I don't research the Illuminati. There's a lot of stuff I just don't research because God hasn't put any of that stuff on my radar. When he does, I'll start researching it. He has not put that stuff on my radar.
Somebody said clarify who is Meganon versus QAnon.
Mega Anon and Q Anon, 2 different people. Mega Anon is a gal.
I feel like she's discredited herself in my eyes.
She's easier to understand than Q, although Q is a lot more easy to understand now. Mega Anon, I've looked at some of her posts recently, not really impressed. Seems to
leading people down a trail that is not right.
We think that Mega Anon is leading people down a trail that is not the right trail. The same thing can be true of a lot of people on YouTube who are trying to interpret Q. They're taking you down these ridiculous trails and these conspiracy theories. And this one guy, and I'm not going to name his name, he's been telling people that Mike Pence is involved in pedophiles, that Mike Pence is supporting a pedophile ring. And I get all these private messages from people. Did you see this video? Mike Pence is involved in a pedophile. Is this true? I'm like, look, calm down. Take a breath.
Said that on Alex Jones.
I wasn't going to tell them. No. I don't want to rat out people like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, think about this. And this is where you have to take the information that Q is giving you and apply the information to the information you're getting from these people on YouTube. Q has continually said, we see all, we know all, we're watching you, we're listening to you. How is Trump and his team getting all this information? Because they have access to the Hammer and the NSA database, military intelligence, CIA intelligence. They have all this intelligence, British intelligence, the Five Eyes. They know what everyone is doing, where they're going. The Hammer pings people's phones and can tell where their location is. That's one of the big things that is a problem now with Obama administration. But anyway, I digress. If Mike Pence was a pedophile, if he was supporting a pedophile ring, do you think the NSA would know about it? B, do you think someone might have told Trump that his vice president is a pedophile? And if Trump knew that, would he keep him around?
wouldn't it be all over CNN by now?
And wouldn't it be all over CNN by now? All right. If you just sit down and think logically about this stuff, think, okay, they're accusing Pence of supporting some pedophile ring. Okay. First of all, Trump has access to the virtual entire intelligence community. He knows everything about everyone. He can look into anyone's business. You don't think Trump would know if his vice president was a pedophile? I find that hard to believe. I do not think that if Pence was a pedophile, that Trump would not know about it. And if he was, that he would keep him in as vice president. It just doesn't make any sense. And yet people go to these YouTube channels and they listen to this crap. And I'm like, it's just illogical as heck. Why do you even listen to it?
Well, the same person who said Trump is covering for a pedophile ring is the one who said Musk is a patriot. And both of those things I disagree with. So.
Right. The same guy who said Trump is a pedophile is telling everyone that Musk is an absolute patriot, MAGA. There's no way he's involved in anything deep. So you have, when you are looking at Q and you're following people who are trying to, analyze and decode what Q is saying, put on your critical thinking hat for Pete's sake and use some judgment and use some discernment and just think about this stuff logically. Logic alone will help you get rid of a lot of this just nonsense.
And people think that Q, when he talks about number 2, they think he's talking about Pence.
Yeah,
and
that's another problem. That's another problem. That's where it comes from.
Yeah, probably.
So Q has been telling people that number 2 is a problem. Number 2 is in danger. And this guy on YouTube has interpreted number 2 as being Pence. And number 2 is not Pence. Number 2 is Andrew McCabe, the deputy director of the FBI. Whenever Q references number 2, he's talking about McCabe, not Pence. Which would, if you didn't know that, it might make you think, oh, they're circling the net around Pence. Pence is going to go down. Pence is going to be exposed. Wrong, number 2. It's not the vice president. It's McCabe. And that is where you get into problems. If you don't understand, look, McCabe has been under investigation in the FBI for almost 2 years. He's been in the disciplinary process. He is this close to going to jail. Q has been telling us the number 2 at the FBI is going down. You can look and see that it's going on. Why would you think that's referring to Pence? I don't understand that. So that's my rant. I'm done. Just when you're looking at YouTube videos and you're trying to find people who can decode Q, just use some common sense and logic, and it'll save you a lot of heartburn and a lot of bad ideas. The discussion about Dilley and Obama and the people during Benghazi, that unfortunately got misconstrued by a lot of people because Brendan unfortunately has a tendency to run his sentences together. When he's getting information from his source, he will take 5 or 6 pieces of information and run it all together, and it sounds like it's one story, and it's actually, he cleared it up the next day. But if you didn't catch his video the next day, you probably don't know that there were some wrong associations made when he was talking about Obama and Benghazi and who was in the room at the time and where people were. So when you listen to Brendan's scopes, his source gives him information and then Brendan just kind of reads it in a string. You have to, when you're listening to it, do the replay, hit the pause button, write things down, and separate them into different blocks of information. Q does the same thing. Q will give you a post, and there can be 3 different subjects in there. You have to know where to separate. This is this subject, this is another subject, this is a different subject. Or you have to know if it's all talking about one subject. That is where a lot of people have a hard time decoding Q because they don't understand. You have this whole string of letters and then you have something else. And in many of these posts, it's all related. It's not different subjects. It's all related. Put it all together and make a big picture out of it. Organizing the information that you get from these intelligence sources is critical. If you don't organize it the right way and group it the right way, you're going to misunderstand what they're saying. So I'll throw that out there for you. Yeah, and look, I'm not bashing Brendan. Brendan's a good guy. It's just you have to take this intelligence information and you have to really carefully think about it and make sure you have the right associations. Don't make assumptions. All right. Questions? Comments? Right. The meetings that he was talking about with Obama were multiple meetings over many different time periods, not all just one meeting. That's not what he was referring to many different meetings. Right. That's correct. All right. Any other, let's see. I think Paul Manafort was bait. If you're interested, I think Paul Manafort was bait. Trump and his people, I think, knew that they were being watched. They knew that they were being set up. I think they chose Paul Manafort knowing he had ties to Ukraine and Russia because they wanted Hillary and the people in the FBI and DOJ to think that they had something they could go after. So they put Manafort on the team, not really ever intending to use him, just trying to make Manafort the bait between Russia to make it look like there was Russian collusion. As soon as it worked and they started the surveillance and they started making the connection that Manafort and Carter Page had connections in Russia, they got rid of them. But they had already started the investigation. I think that the involvement of Papadopoulos, Manafort, Carter Page was strategic by Trump to get Hillary to think there was Russian collusion, get the FBI to investigate them so that they could discredit these people down the road. And that is what you're going to see. You're going to see the investigation discredited. You're going to see that the FBI and DOJ had this pretext of the investigation of Russia way before the election. It's all going to come out. And when it does, people are going to look at Trump and go, wow, that dude really does play 4D chess.
Somebody asked about dreams.
Dreams. Had a dream last night. I should tell you about it. Okay. If you think that you are going to see Andrew McCabe and Comey and Mueller and Hillary and John Podesta in handcuffs and in prison next week, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It is going to take time. And there's a lot of impatient people out there who can't wait any longer. I got to see somebody arrested. I got to see somebody in jail. Relax. Take a breath. It's going to take time. In this dream last night, I was cleaning. I was mopping up a mess. There was a mess, and it had to be cleaned up. And I had this it was like a squeegee, not a mop exactly, more like a squeegee. And I was using it to clean up this floor. And I looked at it at first, and it looked like a small area that I was cleaning. So I'm cleaning, and I get done, and I look at the area again, and it's like 5 times as big as it was originally. So I'm thinking, oh, Lord, now I have to go back and clean some more. So I went cleaning, and I cleaned the whole area. And when I went and looked again, it was even larger. And then I saw other people involved. They were also cleaning up, and this area was huge, and there were many people doing it. I saw this big picture view, huge area, lots of people, and in the dream I knew it was going to take us a lot of time to clean this up. The dream, I think, is God's way of telling us it took a long time to create this mess. It's going to take a long time for it to be cleaned up. You can't expect all of these corrupt people, this entire system in Congress, in the Defense Department, in the State Department. The Justice Department has 120,000 employees. Now, there are good people in the FBI, good people in the DOJ, good people in defense, good people in state. There are good and bad people. But the bad people have to be removed, and that is going to take time. Some of the people will be arrested soon. For some, it's going to take a while. And I think what God was telling me in this dream is, just realize you are in for a long haul. This is a big cleanup. It's going to take a lot of time, and people have to be patient. It's not going to happen overnight. So that was a dream I had last night, if you're interested in that. Looking at questions.
Mark Taylor said years of military tribunals.
Mark Taylor said years of military tribunals. That is correct. That would not surprise me.
You should tell who Mark Taylor is for people who don't know.
If you're interested, go on YouTube and check out Mark Taylor's videos. Mark Taylor is a firefighter, retired firefighter. He is a very prophetic person. The Lord gives him dreams and visions. He has messages from angels, kind of a lot of the same stuff I have. And he saw President Trump being elected like in 2011 or something of that nature. He has seen a lot of things in the future. He has seen military tribunals. He gets revelation from God, kind of like I do. So if you're interested in Mark Taylor, you can check out his information. It's kind of interesting.
Somebody asked, are you a spirit-filled believer?
I am a spirit-filled believer. I absolutely am. Signs and wonders and miracles follow me. And angels too.
That's true. Jeff Sessions' nickname as a prosecutor was
The Silent Assassin. Yeah. Don't believe the bad PR about Sessions. Sessions has been working hard. He's been setting the chess table for all of this to go down. He knows what he's doing. Yeah, a medic and a fireman and a spirit-filled guy who I think Mark Taylor and I would have a lot of fun if we ever got together. I don't know. I'm guessing Taylor was an EMT, probably not a paramedic. I don't know his history, but we would probably have fun if we got together.
And Kim Clement, people are mentioning him.
Kim Clement was amazing. I have a special fondness for Kim Clement. I had a very crazy experience where Jesus came into my bedroom at night and was talking to me, and I heard Kim Clement playing music in the spiritual world. There was like a portal opened up, and I could hear Kim Clement singing, and Jesus was in the room talking to me. It was one of the most interesting experiences I've ever had. So yeah, I have a fondness for Kim Clement. He was a great guy. Looking forward to meeting him in heaven. All right. I don't know if Mark Taylor is on Twitter. He might be.
You can find his stuff on YouTube.
His YouTube channel is a place to find his stuff, really. Kim Clement and Lance had a meeting scheduled with Trump. Wow, that's interesting. I got to meet Lance here a couple months ago. We got to do a Periscope together. It was great. I had such a good time. He is as cool in person as he is on Periscope. All right. Any more questions? I'm looking. Mark Taylor's on Facebook. His website has his prophetic words.
Somebody said, what is your advice? I never have any kind of dreams.
Get around people who dream if you want to have dreams. Get around people who dream.
To have dreams.
Pray to have dreams. Read books on dream interpretations. I like James Gall's book, Dream Language. Ira Milligan's book, Understanding the Dreams You Dream, is a good book. Invest some time in learning about dreams. When I started reading books on dream interpretation, I had more dreams. When you journal the dreams that you have, you will have more dreams. If you are faithful in what God gives you, He gives you more. So if God gives you, pray, ask God to give you dreams. When He gives you a dream, write it down. Write it down. Wake up, write it down,
Journal or something.
have a journal, and then he'll give you another dream. Write it down. He'll give you another dream. Write it down. I've been journaling my dreams for 8 years. I have piles of cards of dreams. I take my dream life very seriously, and because I do, God gives me dreams almost every night. And they're very interesting dreams, dreams about the deep state, intelligence community, stuff like that.
Howard Milligan, I'm spelling it out here.
Yes, The Divinity Code by Thompson and Beale is really good. That is a very good book on dreams. Thick, by a couple of Australians. There's a really good dictionary of dream symbols in that book.
And Barbie Breathitt.
Barbie Breathitt has a book on dreams. Is the memo info from the IG report? No. The memo does not contain info from the IG report because I believe the memo was created before Nunez got access to the documents from the Inspector General's report. Although, I think, well, let me explain the document. If you're interested, you want to just hang out for a while, let me tell you what's really going on. Inspector General of the Department of Justice has been investigating the FBI and the Department of Justice for alleged weaponization, politicization of those two departments during the election. Okay, so the Inspector General has already been investigating that for the last year. Devin Nunes in the House Intelligence Committee has also been investigating the same thing. In fact, here's a creepy thing. Nunes has 2 investigations going on. Nunes has one investigation going on that it involves the entire intelligence community. He has a parallel investigation that only involves Republicans. He's been running 2 investigations at the same time. And so we also have Senate Judiciary and the House Judiciary. They are also doing their own investigations. So what is contained in the memo? Well, why do you have 3 committees and an Inspector General's office all investigating politicization and weaponization of the FBI and the DOJ? Because there are some serious problems, and they're all aware of the problems, and they're all trying to address the problems. So it's not hard to guess what is going to be in that memo. You just look at what they're investigating and look at who they're investigating and what the accusations are, and you could pretty well figure out what that memo is going to contain. Yeah, Sundance is for real. I follow Sundance pretty darn closely. I have had dreams about Sundance where God has shown me Q and Sundance and the things in the same dream. So I don't think it's too hard to guess what's in that memo. There's some really bad people who've done some really bad things, and some of it has actually already come out, if you know where to look for it. So, yes, Conservative Treehouse. If you want to keep your pulse on what's happening in the intelligence community, Conservative Treehouse is the place to do it. Sundance is hot on the trail, and everyone else, I steal a lot of my information from Sundance. I just flat out plagiarize Sundance, and he doesn't seem to mind. So he seems to be okay with it. I think Sundance wants the information, good information to get out. Yeah, Dilly2018.com is where you go to support Brendan and learn more about him if you're in Arizona or if you're not.
Somebody's asking, is Sundance on Facebook? Probably not.
I don't think Sundance is on Facebook. Sundance is on Twitter. I'm going to type it in the chat.
The Last Refuge.
2. Sundance is on Twitter at The Last Refuge, the number 2.
And also on Conservative Treehouse.
Sundance is a blogger who goes by the name on Twitter of is the last refuge 2, also goes by Sundance, also blogs at Conservative Treehouse, probably has 2 or 3 other names that I can't remember. It's always confusing because people are like, who is the last refuge? Who is Sundance? And I'm like, I know Conservative Treehouse. I'm like, well, that is Sundance. That is the last refuge. It's all the same thing. Yes, Conservative Treehouse blog. Correct. I wish you would just do Praying Medic like me. Just one name. That's it.
Somebody's Total News Network. Sundance has his own film festival.
Sundance does have his own film festival. You are correct. Wow, that was good comeback. I like that. If I had a cup in front of me, I'd take a drink to that. Sundance.
Here. Mega Princess Di put it in the chat. At the last refuge.
I'm going to reply back if I can get it. There you go. How you doing, Juanita? How you doing, Jalen? Mega Princess, is everybody hanging in there? I don't normally go this long in my scopes. I'm
Mary Grace.
Mary Grace. You guys okay? All of our gals, you're okay? You're hanging in there? You're not ready to drop off yet? Because I am. I'm getting tapped out. We did not get enough sleep last night, and I had to get up and preach this morning. I went to the Phoenix Full Gospel Businessmen's meeting, and I got to tell them all about Q and the intelligence community and the memo and what's going on in the DOJ. Yeah, and I actually sold a couple of books too.
And the good news
so that was cool.
Is some of them have been following Q already.
Some of them have been following Q. All right.
Like, keep going, just warming up. All good. We're magnificent. So
cool. BRZ. It's going to, some of the information is coming out. Look. All right. If you are impatient and you want to know how long is it going to take for the information to come out, how long for these people to go to jail, let me tell you this. Things can change like that. 3 or 4 days ago, I wrote a thread on Twitter, and I was frustrated because Hannity, Sarah Carter, Tucker Carlson, John Solomon were all taking the narrative about the Steele dossier back in the direction of Russia. That Russia created it, Russia hoodwinked everybody, Russia had everybody fooled, and I was livid. And so was Sundance, I know this, because we saw the breadcrumbs going toward the FBI and the DOJ and corruption and misuse of the FISA. And we were hoping that these people would get their act together and start talking about the weaponization of the intelligence community. And they weren't doing that. Hannity, Sarah Carter, John Solomon, everybody going back toward Russia. And we were like, oh my gosh, these people are idiots. These people are really stupid. That's what I was feeling. And this was like 4 days ago. And then the memo issue drops. And that quickly, Sarah Carter, Solomon, Hannity, Gorka, they're all talking about politicization of the FBI and the DOJ. And, oh, it wasn't Russia. Oh, it was something else. So as this information comes out from day to day, then what we know, how we perceive it, who's aware of it, is going to change. You have to be patient. Q, look, if you're asking me how long it's going to take, why don't you ask Q? Q has been telling us all along what is going to happen and when. All right? If you take this from Q, all right, think about this. What do we have coming up in 10 days? What do we have coming up? State of the Union address. What did Q say? Timing is everything. What does that mean? Something is going to be released. Something is going to happen on the State of the Union. It's going to be timed together. What does that tell you? If you're waiting for more information, if you're waiting for something to happen, why don't you wait for the State of the Union? Because something is going to happen around the State of the Union address. Guarantee it. That is what Q has been telling us. Q has been telling us when the storm was approaching, calm before the storm. When the storm got here, Q switched to the board, the storm. Q switched to the board, the storm. Everyone was like, oh, it's not the calm before the storm anymore. The storm is here. So Q is on the storm telling us the storm is here. Now things are going to start coming out. People are going to get arrested. This news is going to come faster. Q told us, and I put this on my last video, broadcast on Q. Q said, this week is a big week. Next week is going to be bigger. And then bigger, biggest. She wrote it on the calendar. We're in an accelerating news cycle. This last week was big. Next week is going to be bigger. The week after that, even bigger. That is what you have to look at Q and go, okay, he's telling us in the next 3 weeks, one big news cycle, another big one, even bigger, and then a really big one after that. Q and the people in Trump's administration have already mapped all this stuff out. When the intelligence is going to be dropped, who's going to get the info, which committee is going to get this, where this is going out. They've already figured it out, and they're telling us when they're going to do it. So if you're not getting that from Q, I'm like, come on. He's telling us what's going to happen. That's why I'm excited, because we're getting intel straight from the top. And whatever Q has put out so far that I've looked at, it has all been pretty darn accurate. When you look back at what Q has posted, it is almost all of it has come to pass, which is why Q says future proves past. Look at what's happened in the past. It'll tell you what's going to happen in the future. You can rely on Q. State of the Union is January 30th. It's in 10 days. That's the State of the Union address. Something big is going to happen in 10 days. I'm pretty sure of that.
Yeah, you have to make it clear that Q is no longer on the storm. He's on
Right.
Great Awakening.
Q is no longer on 8chan The Storm. Q is on 8chan Great Awakening. If you just go 8chan, I think it's / Great Awakening, you'll find it. Rome wasn't built in a day. That is true.
Where do we get your book?
You can get my books on Amazon. If
Go to your website too.
If you go to my website, prayingmedic.com, you can find links to my books there. If you don't like Amazon, they are available through Barnes & Noble. Barnes & Noble actually orders them from Amazon because all my books are published through Amazon. But if you just go to Amazon and put in Praying Medic in the search, you'll find my books. They're also on my website. I also have downloadable MP3 message. I also have online classes. A class, healing class. All right. Yes. Q did change boards. What was happening with Q was they were having some problems logging in. People were logging in and trying to fake Q's ID. Finally, the moderators on CBTS said, why don't you create your own board? You can control it. You can control access. And so Q created his own board on 8chan. That is the board that Q is on now, and it's called Great Awakening. And Q is in total control of that board. Nobody else can post on it. Q confirms when people post things that threads and posts on Q's comments. If Q confirms that they're right, he'll confirm it on there. That is how we know a lot of what Q has told us already. People have posted responses to Q, and Q has confirmed that they're right. Whenever somebody guesses that something is correct, Q will confirm it. So that's kind of how the history of understanding Q's language has come about.
Somebody said they started praying for people but haven't seen anyone yet.
Keep praying for people. If you haven't seen anyone healed yet, keep praying. I prayed for hundreds of people before I saw anybody healed. It can take a while to develop faith for healing. Don't give up. If you keep doing it, you're going to see people healed. No, not greatawakening.com. 8chan, I think it's / Great Awakening. Let me double check.
I think it's 8ch.net. It's better to just type in a search for 8chan Great Awakening, and it'll take you right there. Somebody just put it in. Dan Fadden just put it in. But you should warn everybody about 8chan, because if you click on something other than well, I get to be the hall monitor. I have to warn everybody. I clicked on something and I was not happy with what I saw.
I do not go on 8chan and 4chan because there's tons of porn on there. Look, it is an internet messaging board where people go on there anonymously. There is a lot of creepy, nasty stuff on there you do not want to run into.
Don't look around. Just go to the Great Awakening.
If you're curious to go to Q's page on 8chan, go there. You can find his post. There's no porn on there. Don't click on a bunch of links and start moving around on 8 and 4chan. You're going to run into stuff you don't want to see. I just don't have any use for going on 8chan or 4chan. I go on there now and I only go to Q's page, only so that I can get updates and so I can take screenshots and stuff like that. That's the only reason I go there. Yeah.
Don't accidentally click on an ad. I mean, like that happened to me. Accidentally.
Yes. Dee Dee Girl. She's praying for, yeah, that's it right there. Rita's got it. https 8ch.net / Great Awakening. If you want to go there, I would not go anywhere else.
Or go to Reddit.
That's safer. You can go to Reddit and go to CBTS. They've got Q's posts there. And it's less dangerous. We need to be in prayer for the president. We need to be in prayer for his staff. We need to be in prayer for Congress, that this government shutdown ends. We need to be praying that darkness is exposed, that corrupt people are brought to justice. Okay? For those of you who are intercessors, and I know a bunch of you are going to be watching this, that is the stuff we need to pray for. We are over the target. We could not get more over the target. And we're there because you intercessors and you prayer people have been praying. And the darkness is being exposed because you've been praying. So keep doing the prayer and keep doing the intercession. That is what is going to make this unfold faster and faster. All right.
Somebody said Total News Network said James R is Q.
James R looks exactly like the Q that I met in my dream. I will tell you that. He looked like a cross between Mr. Miyagi and James, the Q that I met in my dream. All right. Any more questions? Yep. Go directly to 8chan.net / Great Awakening. That's the best place to go. Hey, did you notice that we finally got rid of most of the trolls? Nice work, people. That was really strong. It only took like an hour to get rid of the trolls. All right, I should wrap this up. I'm going to get going. I love you all. You are amazing. Thank you for hanging in there with me. Thank you for your really good questions. Thank you for putting up with me. Q is with the president. We think so. I believe so.